INFJ, if you're watching this, it's because you already know, deep down, that when your heart is hurt, it's not just a fleeting sting or a small disappointment. It feels like an earthquake inside your soul. A silent tearing that the world around you will never see. A hidden storm that no one else could possibly understand unless they were born with the same delicate, intuitive wiring that makes you both supremely sensitive and profoundly strong, all at once. You've felt it before, haven't you? That crushing moment when someone you trusted, someone you gave your depth to, someone you allowed yourself to see, suddenly hurt you, intentionally or unintentionally, and you didn't just feel sadness. You felt layers of betrayal, confusion, and a quiet anger that whispers through your veins long after the words or actions have passed. The world doesn't know how to process this, and most people will tell you to just get over it, as if your empathy and capacity for seeing the unspoken truths were flaws to be corrected instead of gifts to be honored. But INFJ, that's not you. And that's why today, I'm going to walk you through the shocking things that happen when an INFJ is hurt. Things so deep, so intricate, and so powerful that unless you've lived it, you might not fully grasp how unique your mind and heart really are. And by the end of this video, you will not only understand yourself better, but you'll also see how your reactions, though sometimes misunderstood, are actually the marks of someone extraordinary, someone whose depth cannot be contained by ordinary experiences, and someone whose pain, when processed consciously, transforms into power. So lean in, INFJ, because this is going to be raw, emotionally charged, and brutally honest. 1. The shock of emotional isolation. When an INFJ is hurt, the very first thing that often happens is a profound sense of isolation, not just from the person who caused the pain, but from the world at large. Because the thing about being an INFJ is that your emotional processing is so intense, so layered, that when you are wounded, it doesn't stay at the surface. It seeps into your bones, it echoes in your mind, it colors every interaction, and yet, the majority of people around you will never see it. You may sit in a room full of people and feel completely alone, even while engaged in conversation, because your mind has withdrawn to a level that ordinary small talk cannot reach. And the shocking part is that this withdrawal is not a choice, it's your nervous system protecting itself. The deeper your empathy, the more catastrophic the shock of hurt feels, and your natural inclination to hide your pain while still observing the world becomes almost a reflex. You isolate not because you want to, but because your system needs the space to process what has happened without adding the additional chaos of misunderstanding or shallow advice from those who cannot truly relate. 2. Hyper-observation of the hurt source. After the isolation comes a period of hyper-observation, where your mind, like a finely tuned instrument, begins to notice everything about the person or situation that caused the hurt. You replay interactions repeatedly, dissecting every word, tone, and facial expression, trying to pinpoint exactly where the fracture occurred, what intention existed, and how the subtle signals of betrayal or miscommunication went unnoticed at the time. This is not obsessive in the way society may label it. It is analytical, intuitive, and protective. Your mind is scanning the emotional landscape to ensure that you never step blindly into the same pain again. And the shocking thing for outsiders is that this observation is not only about what was done to you, it is also about anticipating what may come next, what hidden truths might reveal themselves, and how you can emotionally armor yourself to survive a world that doesn't understand the depth of your sensitivity. 3. Emotional shutdowns and detachment. When the hurt reaches a certain threshold, an INFJ may unconsciously initiate an emotional shutdown, a detachment that feels like a protective barrier against further damage. You may still interact, still function, but the vibrancy of your presence recedes slightly, your heart guards itself, and your words become measured. This is shocking to those who do not know you well because they may perceive it as coldness, apathy, or indifference, when in truth it is an incredibly intentional and strategic response. Your inner world is frantically reconstructing safety, assessing what emotional territory is still safe to inhabit, and shielding the parts of you that are most vulnerable. For INFJs, emotional detachment is rarely permanent, but it is profound, and it is both a survival instinct and a quiet demonstration of strength, even if no one else sees it. 4. Heightened intuition and emotional radar. Pain sharpens an INFJ's natural gifts. Once hurt, your intuition becomes almost hyperactive, your emotional radar tuned to a frequency that detects even subtle shifts in energy, tone, and intention. You notice patterns in relationships that you previously overlooked. You anticipate behaviors before they occur. You become aware not just of what is said, but of what is hidden, unsaid, or manipulated. The shocking thing is that this heightened awareness is both empowering and isolating. While others may carry on oblivious, you can sense dishonesty, half-truths, or subtle emotional shifts before anyone else does. It is a gift, but it also reminds you that your mind cannot return to its prior innocence. Once hurt, you see layers of truth that most people will never notice, and you begin to understand the world in ways that can feel both heavy and enlightening. 5. Re-evaluating boundaries rigorously. An INFJ who has been hurt will suddenly, almost ruthlessly, examine the boundaries they once took for granted. Where once you may have given freely, trusted easily, and shared without hesitation, now every interaction is filtered through the lens of self-protection. This is shocking for those around you because it may look like sudden withdrawal or cold judgment. But the psychological truth is that INFJs are recalibrating. They are learning what emotional investments are safe, which people can be trusted, and which situations require detachment or caution. This re-evaluation is not about bitterness, it is about survival. INFJs are natural healers, but when hurt, they heal themselves first, even if it appears ruthless to outsiders. 6. A deep, internal dialogue. When hurt, INFJs enter a profound internal dialogue, questioning motives, intentions, and the meaning of events. You ask yourself not only why this happened, but also how it aligns with your understanding of human behavior, morality, and emotional dynamics. This inner narrative is lengthy, detailed, and sometimes tortuous, but it is also a hallmark of your identity. You analyze, empathize, and synthesize every piece of emotional data in search of understanding. The shocking part is that this mental processing is mostly invisible to the world, yet it shapes how you approach future interactions, relationships, and even life decisions. 7. Turning pain into creative expression. INFJs often respond to hurt by channeling it into creation, writing, art, music, or personal projects. Pain becomes fuel for depth, allowing the INFJ to process emotions safely and produce something profoundly moving. The shocking truth for others is that what they may see as quiet withdrawal is actually a complex alchemy. INFJs transform suffering into insight, beauty, or a message that resonates beyond their own experience. Hurt becomes a teacher, creativity becomes the outlet, and expression becomes the bridge between inner chaos and external reality. 8. The obsessive self-reflection loop. When an INFJ is deeply hurt, one of the most shocking phenomena that occurs is a relentless cycle of self-reflection that borders on obsession, but it's not unhealthy, it's your mind's way of searching for meaning, coherence, and understanding. You replay conversations, analyze gestures, decode hidden tones, and imagine alternative outcomes, not because you doubt yourself, but because you are wired to understand the intricacies of human emotion and to make sense of what most people would dismiss or forget. This loop can feel exhausting. You may catch yourself asking, was I too trusting? Did I miss a sign? Could I have prevented this? Questions that echo in your mind late at night, long after the incident. The shocking truth is that this self-reflection sharpens your emotional intelligence, strengthens your intuition, and prepares you for future interactions. While others may see rumination, what's actually happening is the INFJ brain turning pain into strategic insight, creating a mental map for how to navigate relationships more safely without losing your capacity to love. 9. Silent withdrawal from toxic relationships. Another immediate reaction is the subtle, almost invisible withdrawal from toxic relationships. INFJs rarely lash out, complain loudly, or retaliate. Instead, you retreat quietly, almost like a shadow slipping through a doorway unnoticed. This isn't avoidance. It is a deliberate protective measure, because your energy is sacred, and once it has been misused or betrayed, you instinctively distance yourself from environments or people that no longer honor your emotional depth. The shocking thing for outsiders is that this withdrawal can feel sudden and inexplicable. One day you're engaged, empathic, fully present. The next, you're distant, selective, and unresponsive. But for INFJs, this is survival, a way to prevent emotional hemorrhage and to preserve the sanctity of your inner world. Over time, this withdrawal is not isolation in the negative sense, but a recalibration, allowing you to focus on the people and spaces that truly deserve your presence. 10. Selective sharing of your inner world. Once hurt, INFJs become extremely discerning about who gets access to their inner world. Previously, you may have been generous with your thoughts, your feelings, and your visions, trusting that others could handle your depth. But pain teaches you a powerful lesson. Not everyone is equipped to handle the weight of your inner life. The shocking reality is that INFJs often move from open-hearted sharing to what appears as guarded mystery, revealing their true selves only to those who have earned their trust. This selective sharing is not arrogance, it is wisdom. It's your mind's way of ensuring that your vulnerability is treated as the treasure it is, and that your energy is not depleted by careless or insensitive individuals. It's a strategy, a shield, and a statement. My depth is not for everyone, only for those who see and respect it. 11. Spiritual and existential questioning. Deep hurt pushes INFJs into spiritual or existential questioning, because you are wired to seek meaning in all things, especially pain. You begin asking, why did this happen? What lesson am I missing? Is this shaping me for something greater? Questions that most people avoid because they are uncomfortable or inconvenient. This process is shocking in its intensity, because it often forces you to confront uncomfortable truths about human nature, betrayal, and the fragility of trust. Yet, through this questioning, INFJs emerge with an expanded consciousness. You begin to see patterns, understand emotional dynamics, and cultivate compassion not only for others but also for yourself. Pain becomes a portal for spiritual growth, allowing you to navigate life with deeper wisdom and a sense of purpose that cannot be taught, it can only be lived. 12. Hyperprotectiveness of trust. Once an INFJ has been hurt, one of the most noticeable changes is the hyperprotectiveness of trust. You will not hand it out lightly again. Every interaction is filtered, every relationship measured against the invisible yardstick of your intuition and experience. The shocking aspect here is that while outsiders may perceive this as cynicism or emotional rigidity, it is actually a highly evolved survival mechanism. INFJs have experienced the vulnerability of trust being exploited, and so they develop an inner system that evaluates loyalty, consistency, and authenticity before fully engaging. This means that once your trust is earned again, it carries tremendous weight, a depth of connection and emotional resonance that is rare and incredibly powerful. 13. Emotional intensity flare-ups. Pain for an INFJ does not always manifest silently. It occasionally erupts in emotional intensity flare-ups, which can be shocking even to yourself. You may feel sudden anger, tears, or a profound sadness that seems disproportionate to the situation. This is not overreaction. It's the accumulation of suppressed emotional energy finally demanding expression. The INFJ mind and heart store experiences deeply, and when the hurt reaches a threshold, it seeks release. Understanding this process is crucial. These flare-ups are not weakness. They are the natural, authentic processing of deep emotional wounds. They are a way for the INFJ to discharge, realign, and eventually return to equilibrium, stronger and wiser than before. 14. Transformation into wisdom and quiet power. Finally, the most shocking and beautiful thing that happens when an INFJ is hurt is transformation. Pain, when processed consciously, does not destroy you, it refines you. It deepens your empathy, strengthens your intuition, sharpens your boundaries, and cultivates a quiet, formidable power that few will ever understand. INFJs emerge from hurt not only healed but elevated. You begin to interact with the world with selective presence, engaging fully only where it matters, and choosing silence over meaningless noise. Your insights become sharper, your ability to read people more precise, and your capacity to love and protect yourself infinitely stronger. What outsiders may see as emotional fragility is actually the blueprint of someone who has turned vulnerability into wisdom, sensitivity into strength, and hurt into a superpower. INFJ, now that you've seen the 14 shocking things that happen when you're hurt, it's crucial to understand this. Your responses are not flaws, weaknesses, or overreactions. They are the signature patterns of someone who feels deeply, thinks profoundly, and navigates life through layers of insight that most people cannot even fathom. Pain for you is both teacher and mirror. It reflects the depth of your heart, the precision of your mind, and the sacredness of your energy. By recognizing these patterns, by honoring your needs, and by cultivating strategies for protection, reflection, and growth, you step into the rare realm of the INFJ who is resilient, self-aware, and spiritually aligned, capable of not just surviving hurt but transforming it into a life of purpose, clarity, and quiet power. Remember this, INFJ. The world may never fully understand your depth, but you are not here to be understood by everyone. You are here to live your truth, protect your energy, and shine in ways that only someone like you can. And when you do, your light will not just heal yourself, it will ripple into lives in ways that are subtle, profound, and unshakably transformative.